What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Coffee Club, episode 99.1. As you can probably hear or possibly see if you're watching this on YouTube, it is just George and Ollie here today. Morgan is sleeping because, as we've realized, this time change for the next few weeks is going to be bloody difficult. So we're going to do what we can, but Morg's taking the week off. So yeah, this is you could just be watching us in silence. Like, Morgan is obviously the brains of the operation, so we don't even know if we've got the recording going. So we're hoping for the best. But anyway, Ollie, how are you, bro? Good to see you again.
Good to see you, George. Yeah, it's a bit weird without our fearless leader capping off the podcast with his smooth, silky voice. But we're going to try and manage. We're going to try and manage without him. It's been good here. I'm in Australia. Morgan's in Europe, and George is back in Boulder. So we're all over the place. But we're going to try and make this work. This will be a little snippet, and then next week, hopefully, the three of us will be back together, chatting about the past busy couple of weeks.
Yeah, as we may as well start with a nice shout out. Another week brought to you by the awesome guys at Camelback. We're still going along with our awesome partnership with those guys. So great to have them on board. And through the month of July, 20% off on the website, camelback.com. Use our code Coffee Club, all caps, and yeah, get some of their cool stuff. Maybe just a little something coming in the way of a giveaway in the next couple of weeks. Keep your eyes peeled on the Coffee Club Instagram. Won't give out too many secrets on that, but yeah, something good coming, hopefully. I've seen a couple of the items, and they are very cool. But yeah, obviously, everyone knows that Worlds has been happening, but much bigger news, and what everyone has really been waiting for is the Ollie update. So we've missed him on the pod. Hasn't been the same the last couple of weeks, but yeah, like we said, it's been bloody difficult with all the with the time change. So Ollie's now back in Australia. You wanna just give us a rundown? What's been going on down there?
Yeah, of course, George. Thanks for the humble intro. Oh yeah, it's been interesting. I got back, spent a few days, and then Worlds kind of started to kick off. And I think as an athlete, when you prepare and you kind of look forward to probably the big pinnacle of the end of the season, which is World Champs for us. It was kind of tough to get the sleep in. Everything was happening overnight for us here in Australia, so always you wake up and you see 100 notifications about the results and how everyone's doing. So obviously, when you have teammates and you have people competing that you care about, it's hard to sleep and not pay attention to it. But my update here has just been pretty much standard from what my plan was. I got home, spent some time with family, and then straight into rehab. So I've been doing my general week. Kind of looks like I do some exercises about rehab from Dr. Kabalis and Kurt, our physio guy. It's about 20-25 minutes of exercises just working on like that groin area, which is causing me a bit of grief. And it's been interesting. Like doing the exercises, doing the rehab, you always kind of have in the back of your mind, like, is this actually helping? Am I actually getting benefit out of this? As a bloke that George will know, I don't do a lot of exercises. I don't do a lot of these specific kind of things that a lot of athletes should do, and I am doing now. I don't really know what the benefit is, but I'm starting to do it week by week. I'm getting better at doing the exercises, better at kind of knowing what I'm looking for when I do them. So overall, it's been a nice experience, but it's more of a mental, I think, challenge for me than physical. With this injury, I don't really feel anything during the day, walking around, doing stuff, catching up with friends and family. It doesn't really exist for me. It's only when I'm doing sort of exercising to combat it and working on it, that's when I notice that it's still kind of around. So it's a bit of a frustrating injury with that. Mentally, it's been tough. I mean, you look at all your incredible teammates, and we'll get into how well they've been doing at the World Championships, just crushing it on the world stage. You always have that envious thing of wanting to be there. And for me, that was tough. I mostly just missed the camaraderie that we have with OAC, and I missed Dathan yelling down my ear with his strong Midwestern accent with motivational kind of tendencies of just going out and crushing it. But here, yeah, my general week, I've done the rehab. I've been swimming as much as I can. I've been joining the squad down at Carrying Bar Pool. If anybody knows or listens to the pod and goes down to Carrying Bar Pool and you see me down there, say hello. But I've just been swimming with the squad, which has been fun.
Is this
Um,
Crispy's Squid Squad?
as Crispy's Squid Squad is hopefully coming back. They're gonna combine and come back. But I've been wearing the Poor Simple Squid Club cap at my training. Been representing them with pride. But it's quite funny because I don't have any like swim cozies, like swim trunks that fit me. And the only pair that actually fits me is the Australian Olympic cozies that I got from Tokyo. So I
I
put
remember
those on.
those.
Yeah, I put those on, and I obviously, you take your stuff off and you're about to get in the pool, and all these kids in the squad, like they have like probably lane 1 to lane 6, they're all looking at me with these Olympic cozies on, thinking, who the bloody hell is this guy? Because obviously you don't get those cozies unless you go to the Olympics, which was a bit of a knob thing to do, to be honest. But it's the only cozies I have, and I thought it'd be funny to give a bit of a stir up.
You should just tell
But
them you went to the Olympics for swimming.
yeah, I should just lie. Yeah, yeah. Well, they're looking over trying to figure out who I am, but most of them know I run, I don't swim. But it's been fun. My mum swims as well in the morning, so I jump in with her and swim. I dust her, which is great. Still got that over her. But it's been really fun to kind of get back into that community because when I was growing up in Australia, swimming squad or swimming in general was a big part of my brother and myself. Our kind of journey through sport. So we really enjoyed that. I'm doing about 3 or 4 times a week. I'm going to try and pick it up now to nearly every day. So I'll swim with squad in the morning because they meet 3 times a week, my mum's squad. And then in the afternoon, I'll swim about 30 to minutes to an hour, probably do about 3 or 4K of swimming. My arms are absolutely tired. My back is sore. I've the muscle that I built up over the years from running, just all that arm muscle, it just hasn't paid off, to be honest.
You're just
But
gonna
yeah,
come
it's
back to Boulder just shredded. You just
just
turned into
shredded
like
from the upper body.
turned into a triangle, like a just
But
incredible swimmer's body. But
yeah, but
has it
no,
been?
not
It's been pain free.
pain free mostly. Yeah, yeah. Kicking and stuff, it's actually been okay. I've been seeing my physio is a good family friend, a really good physio called Glenn Colico. I've been seeing him 3 times a week. He's been doing some dry needling and some like soft tissue therapy, which has been great for the abductors, which is the main concern for me. And he's given me some more exercises to do with rehab as well. And he's been following the plan, and I've just got him in contact with Dathan and the squad as well, just to so they know my kind of where I am with my treatment and my recovery back into hopefully running in the next couple of weeks. But um, yeah, no, it's really just it's always going to be slow. So, but I always also don't know like if it's getting better or not. But I feel like it is. I'm not feeling it much anymore. I usually actually felt it a lot when I coughed and sneezed.
Mhm.
And now when I sneeze and cough, I don't feel it at all, which is a really good sign for me. But I'm worried about losing that fitness. So the swimming's been great, and I've also been dragging my brother out to swim as well, which has been fantastic. But that's my general week at the moment. It's just a lot of rehab, seeing Glenn for treatment, watching you guys crush it at the World Champs, and swimming. So I have been missing the running. I've been missing my dog Gus, which he's been looked after by his favorite person in the world, Jenna. So he's having a great time at the new house, and yeah, just overall, it's winter here in Australia too, so it's been cold. So I've been trying to get into the ocean a little bit, but it's freezing. So hopefully that's good for my groin, jumping in there. Also, another life update: my brother shot his thumb with a nail gun. He did it by putting up framing, and these nail guns are like actual guns. Like he's shot the nail and he's misdirected where it goes in. It's gone through the wood and through his thumb. If anybody wants photos, I can post it on the Coffee Club Instagram if they do want to see it. But it was gruesome. He just missed the bone. He had to go into surgery 2 days ago, so I was in the waiting room from 8:30 to 10 o'clock at night because we were just getting moved around, and it was a bit of a nightmare for him. But he's doing okay. But he's kind of out. He's not at work anymore, so he's going to be hanging out with me for the next few weeks while he does rehab as well. So we both got 2 injured whores here at the whore house. So I'm injured with my groin. He's injured with his hand, and we're just hanging out. So
I got a
but he's
I got
doing
a
okay.
funny I got a funny crispy related story.
Go
very
for it.
recently. The funniest thing, I went to. Sorry if that plane is very loud coming overhead. We'll just wait a second in case because I can't hear a bloody thing. I went to see Ziggy Albert's play last night at
Oh yeah,
Boulder Theatre. I don't know if you. I think he's from Sydney, so I
yeah,
think he's. You might know who that is, but he's known for having super long hair and being like I think he's a bit of a hippie kind of folk music guy. Very good concert actually. He was bloody good, but when he walked out, like from a bit of like fog and lights were off, just comes up to the mic. Me and Jenna look at each other and immediately say to each other, "He looks like Chris." Like no shit. He was like
yeah,
the perfect doppelganger of Crispy, Ollie's brother, who we are just talking about. And if you've
yeah,
you followed him on the pod, he came on last summer, but um,
yeah,
it was insane. Like he's buzzed his head, so
yeah,
now doesn't have long hair and the mustache,
yeah,
and he's just super Australian. So it was literally like
yeah.
Chris was like playing to us. It was hilarious.
Oh, that's
But
unreal. I think Chriso loves him, so I tell Chris he went and saw his concert. But Chris and I went to a festival of like kind of upcoming artists, which you and Jenna would have loved, George. It was unreal. We went there. It was pretty chill. It was on a Sunday. Had a few beers, and you can go around these different stages and watch these incredible artists kind of just show their music. There's a New Zealand band called Daily J, which were unreal.
they're New Zealand. I thought they were from
Yep.
Australia.
Nah, they're Kiwi.
Dude,
They were
I love
unreal.
I love Daily J.
Yeah, we saw them. Fantastic. We saw Death by Denim. Unreal. We
Very
saw
good.
Rum Jungle. They were amazing. Matt Santiago, also fantastic. There was just all these artists. They're kind of very up and coming artists, but watching them perform live in like a small kind of setting was unreal. So it was fantastic to do that with Chris and enjoy that. But yeah, we're both injured now, so we're gonna just do our rehab together. And he's got a hand rehab thing. I got a groin rehab thing, but in general, it's going to be fun. So, but yeah,
Bloody
that's pretty much my update here,
bloody work related injuries, both of
mate.
you.
At least compo for him, everything's covered.
Yeah.
Everything's covered for him, so he's all good. He's said he's getting paid, so he's getting looked after. But it's gonna be nice having Chris around, and we'll enjoy our company. We'll head down to the beach and have a swim, and we'll swim at Cronulla Pool, Caringbah Pool, sorry, as well. So if anybody's sees us with our Poor Simple squid caps and wants to come up and say hello, please do so.
All right. Very very good. Everyone go wish Ollie the best in his recovery still. Thanks for the update, bro.
Thank
Um,
you.
we may as well get into what's been happening on the other side of the world in old Budapest over there. I'm obviously back in Boulder. I stayed for an extra day after the race, which was really nice just to spend a day chilling. But then headed on back here while everyone else is still going, and yeah, maybe I'll just give a rundown, a bit of a feel for what Budapest was like in the days leading up, and then we'll go through a few of the distance races and um, yeah, recap a bit of that steeple. But yeah, I hate to tell you, Ollie, but not that you'll be surprised, but pretty much every single thing was better than Eugene.
Hmm. Hmm.
Accommodation, organization, stadium, warm up, but running, everything. I was so impressed by uh, like the organization and just by the city putting it on. Like everything was just so well done. We were saying the Australian team and New Zealand team were together in the hotel, which was and along with actually Spain and Switzerland. So Jonas and Mario too. That was a lot of fun. Just super nice hotel on an island in the middle of the river, and this island had a full 3 mile track surface around the island, like one lane, but 3 miles long around the island. So it was just constantly packed with runners all day, which was pretty sweet. And um, they got to run with some kind of world class runners just zipping by every day, which was probably pretty funny for them. But yeah, and then man, the stadium was. I'm sure everyone's been following along, but shit, it was epic. It's like brand new. I looked on a couple of my the maps on like my pre meet day, and it just has me running like around a grass field. like in the map. That's how new it is. Like it didn't even exist in the map, and just a epic warm up area, and like the nicest Mondo track. It's probably like would be nicer than every single track in New Zealand, and it's just the warm up track in Budapest, and yeah, just such a good setup, and yeah, had a pretty chill couple of days leading into I was day one in the morning, so yeah, had a nice pre meet and just kind of got to grips with Budapest and the travel to the stadium and all, and then um, yeah, kicked us off on day one in the morning, post post 1 hour delay on the meet on day
Yeah.
one. Man, the rain was ridiculous. Like actually, quite a few of the tents were like almost flooding in the warm up area. It was
Damn.
insane, and they had to postpone the meet an hour. But I was actually uh, quite glad at that point because it meant I had the coolest day by probably 20 or 30 degrees. Um, yeah, I was running when it was like 70 as opposed to 90 plus or 20 degrees Celsius, which is probably the coolest championship race I'll probably ever get. So maybe that's why I felt so good. And
I don't think that. I think it was the training and
um,
you racing, but
yeah, made it through to the final and um, heat three with old Lamicha Gurma, world record holder in my heat, which actually
mm.
it reminded me a bit of the heat I ran in Serbia for World Indoors when I for the 3K, and I was just chilling at the back the whole time, just hanging out, and then kind of made a big move up to get on Borrega's shoulder, and then just like jogged it in next to Borrega and was second heat, and then it was like a replay of that, and I couldn't believe how good I felt in the first round. It was pretty sweet actually.
Yeah.
I thought we were running so slow, and we were, but like the first K I think was 250 in the first round, so 830 pace, which I mean, which is reasonably slow. And then I was kind of just chilling at the back, and just for whatever reason, I just felt like so calm, and like the hurdles were just taking nothing out of me, which was
Mm.
a super nice feeling. Like it was a little bit difficult to hurdle, like going back to hurdling at kind of 68, 69-second pace, as opposed to like the last couple of time trials I've done where trying to hammer at the start, and that makes the hurdling a bit easier. But it was kind of that situation where the running felt really easy, but just trying to like stay composed over the barriers when you're running quite slow and at the back of a field. But yeah, water jumps were feeling super good, and I think I'd come into the meet super well recovered actually. Kind of the last week in Semrets, uh, yeah, just the right amount of tapering maybe, or just the perfect peak from Ritz. He knows what he's doing, and
Yeah.
uh, just yeah, man, I was feeling pretty good coming in. Like the last couple of workouts I did we stayed up in Semrets for the last two. Just didn't feel like we needed to go down to Chiavenna for kind of last two, pretty much just tune ups, and I was running like 4:25s in a row off like a minute jog, and just feeling like you know that was pretty easy. And so
Mm.
I felt like I was really coming around at the right time, and it showed in the first round, and was safely through to the final, and ran 8:16 and felt like I was running 8:30. So um, that
Give you
was
a lot of
pretty.
confidence with that. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it really did. I felt like that gave me a huge amount of confidence to have, and then go and have 2 full days recovery for the final, which is also a nice feeling, and just was almost such a big relief after the disappointment in Eugene last year, where the 5K. I mean, obviously it was terrible, and I don't even know what place I came, but fucking way out the back, and I was hot as shit and just felt terrible. And going into it, I was feeling like comparing these last couple of workouts in Samurai, it's feeling super like fresh and crisp running. I remember I went to Eugene early last year, and my last workout I did before the race, like I don't at whatever that community college was that was used for training. Um, I remember I didn't even cool down. I was so destroyed. Like
Mm.
I was running a couple miles and 200s or something, and I was so exhausted from the heat afterwards. I couldn't even jog. Like I walked a couple of laps and then I just like got in a cold tub. And so maybe it was no surprise it went pretty badly. But yeah, just a nice response this year to come out and get the job done and yeah, bit of redemption from the Eugene um, experience, and maybe it is like a bit of experience. Like it's just my second one, and kind of felt like I knew what I was doing a bit more, and um, yeah, maybe that was a big part of it. And yeah, and then also on the first day, Yared and Mario ticked off the first round of the 1500, all good, and Alicia was a huge uh, fifth place in the women's 10K, which was amazing. What do you think of
Mm.
that run, Ollie?
I mean, it's great to see for Alicia. She didn't run what she wanted to run in Paris, and then from there she's just improved um, mentally and physically. I think moving forward, like we know, George and I every day see Alicia just crushing training week after week. She puts in consistent miles. She's a tough nut, but you always want to see those results come through when they matter. And a fifth place in the world at the 10K, particularly where you have such a um, strong group of women just crushing it. And I think Alicia put herself in there. She was aggressive and she made sure that she belonged in that situation of racing. And it wasn't as quick as other 10Ks have been in the past, which was interesting. I think that honestly benefited her too. But even like she just crushed it. She was in really good spot for a medal, and I was like, going, oh shit, she's got a shot here, and she's really giving it a good going, and fifth place in the world is something you don't take lightly, and I think to have that result for her and for Dathan is incredible, particularly leading into Paris, because I think if you're in that position to be in the top 8 or top 6 in the world, you know that you're around that field of just I know what to improve on. I know how to kind of build off this to one of the biggest meets for us ever, which is the Olympic Games. So for her to do that and to have that result, all that hard work has now been kind of it's been recognized in that place, and I'm really happy for her. I sent her a nice message afterwards because like all these results come in and it's like 6 a.m. in the morning, so I'm up and I'm texting people, congrats and stuff like that. So um, really happy for her. I hope her and Dathan were really celebrating that, and yeah, it was incredible.
Definitely a validating
Mm,
performance, I would say,
yeah.
in terms of thinking that or knowing that kind of top five felt like it was possible, and she was again disappointed in Eugene to be 13th and felt like should have been top 10, and then this year to be yeah. I mean, she was there at the bell, but I mean those women are closing in 59 at the
Mm,
front of a 10K, which is I mean that's just outrageous, and
insane.
I think Monson's closing in 64, which is that's no slouch. I mean
No.
that's still that's still some serious wheels. So um, yeah, pretty epic way to start day one from the team, honestly, and then um, day two again. Um, Mario and Yared getting the job done in the semis. Mario winning his heat, and then Yared winning his semi final, and um, those 1500 rounds were yeah, some of the most exciting races probably at Worlds. Um, and maybe that's a good time now. What did we? How do you feel about the big queues only?
Yeah, it's interesting because looking at how they're fixing certain aspects of our sport, they're trying to make it more fair, but also more engaging. People trying to figure out if they're not diehard fans of the sport, know how the qualification system works. They always look at the little queue going, trying to figure out why does that exist? Why is that there? How do you get a little queue kind of situation. I like the big queues stuff, but I do know that like you toss up when you get into a semi final like the men's 1500, you could be in a stacked heat and you could run a really crazy time, finish seventh, and you're you're tough for luck. There were situations in the women's 1500 where women were running 4 minutes, running national records, and missing out on making the final. It's crazy. It's just the way the sport is these days, particularly in this event, that it's so competitive and so deep that you really got to be on top of it, and you really got to have a bit of luck in some ways with what semi you get. But in general, they're mostly both just really stacked, and I think having um, two semis and just going on cues, I think it's a great thing for the sport because there's no doubt, there's no like questioning whether if I was in this semi I would have run quicker. It's like not. There's the cue, there's the semi you're in, and you just have to go and race for that position. And I think it's great for the 5K as well. I think that's the main thing that we kind of went down with George Morgan and I. The 5K needed to have that kind of qualification system, because there was 10 people qualifying from one heat, because the second heat would know what time to hit and they would just go and run it. I think it's a bit different event. For the 1500, it is brutal. It's always going to be brutal. But if you're one of the best in the world, like Mario and Yared, for example, they put themselves in position to make sure that they're in that qualifying window. So I'm really happy for them qualifying for that final. Stacked final, obviously, 1500. I mean, that's no shocker there. Stacked final. It was unfortunate for Cinta. I think, she ran 401, and most of the time you're running 401, you're getting through to the next round. And it was just tough to see that for her, but it's also going to be great fuel for her moving forward. She's come such a long way, and I'm excited for her moving forward in the sport, because I think stuff like that, it makes you tough, and it makes you mentally a lot smarter moving into those rounds. You learn so much from having that experience, from being there, like George mentioned with the 5K, going through the steeple. Like, he knew physically and mentally he was crisp, he was clean, he was ready to go. So but for the big Q thing, it'll cause, there's going to be people talking about that. There's going to be conversations. But I think it's a good thing for the sport. And it's also going to be hard to always have that qualification standard when you've got two semis and one semi could be harder than the other. You're just always going to have that kind of situation. But I think it makes it more easy to be certain of where you have to be and what you have to do. So
Yeah, I think the big takeaways. Yeah, good reminder on center, and she was. I mean, someone has to be the first person out of the
yeah.
final, regardless if there's little queues or only big queues. Someone is going to be the first person out, and center was unlucky enough to be that person while still running the Olympic standard, and um, that's coming out on the wrong end of the time qualifier situation. But I think looking at the big picture, I mean, no, if the fears were like that, it was going to make everyone just jog, then that's obviously hasn't been the case. The 1500 semis still went 332 and
Mm,
334. Like that's obviously hasn't become an issue. That now everyone's just going to go jog, and
mm,
um, likewise in the steeple, I had to run 8:16 to make the final of the steeple. Like and the other ones were 8:19 and 8:20 low. So it hasn't caused any situation like that, which I think is good, and it made it super easy for fans to engage in. Um, and yeah, man, some good people are always going to miss out on that 1500 final when there's only
yeah.
12, and there's more than 12 people that have run 330. Like
Mm,
Tim Chiriotta, former world champs, not making it. Sam Tanner was one of the kind of eighth place finishers and not making it.
Mogatir.
Yeah, medalist from last year.
Yeah.
Um, it's a cutthroat event for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, otherwise day two we had the men's 10K, which for some reason it was Sunday and it was a public holiday in Hungary, like the Hungarian National Day. So the meet was a lot earlier than the day before, which meant Joe was running his 10K at 6 o'clock at night, and I mean it was freaking warm.
Mm,
It was really freaking warm, and I think it showed pretty early. Like no one was running that fast, and the field was still splintering apart. Even at, I can't even, what did they end up running? Maybe just under 28, around 28
Yeah,
minutes or something.
27, I think was Chip the
50,
guy. Yeah,
which every
under
person in the
20.
field should have been able to run that, but when
Yeah.
it's close to 90 degrees, probably
Mm.
that's just not the case. And Joe came off on the wrong end of that, and I mean he obviously felt like a top 10, even top 5 performance was in the realm of possibility. And he did have a couple of things in his build up. If you follow him on Strava, you can see his bit of a hamstring thing in St. Moritz, and then he ended up getting a injection of like a anti-flam injection after the race for his Achilles. So obviously a couple of things had him at less than 100%. And if you're not 100% on the world stage, it shows. Like you have to
Mm.
be pretty much perfect to end up there. And he'll be back. He'll be back next year for sure.
Good fuel for the fire for Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mohamed was a solid 6th in 10K.
Mm.
Love to see that. And Chip the guy doesn't often lose those,
No,
as
he doesn't.
we've seen. And I feel like even what he was saying after USA is like he was gunning for a medal, and the 10K is brutal. Sometimes it doesn't go their way. So, yeah, that's 10K. And I think the men's steeple final must probably the next event. So
Yes, it
may as
is.
well get to that. Left you all hanging here for a second. Just going through an order. Yeah, I probably recovered as well as I could have ever hoped for, I reckon. 2 full days off, and both days on the table with Jason, just getting everything lined up, and came into it feeling pretty good. As good as I could have hoped for, trying to run 2 steeples in 3 days. And what would be I think that was my 8th steeple of the year, which actually is a lot, but also 8 steeple total, which isn't very many.
Yeah.
It's a lot in a short time, but which I was stoked with how good I could still feel running, having raced that many times, and having to just run a lot of steeples this year to kind of catch up to the true steeplers. And it was one of the hottest days of the week. I think 90, 94, 95 degrees during the day, which is 30 plus Celsius. I don't know. And then, but fortunately, unlike in Eugene, where they'd run the entire meet from like 5 till 7 p.m. and it would just be in the sun and hot as hell. And then you'd leave the stadium in Eugene and it would be beautiful conditions. Like it was just getting perfect. But I don't know, TV window or something, I imagine, in Eugene made them have to run the meet so early every night. But I was racing at 9:45 local time. So just being in the dark makes such a difference. Even though it was still 28 degrees Celsius during the race. Like it was definitely hot, and definitely a little hotter than the first round, which I don't think it had made any difference to the performance. But I think I'd love to hear what Morg has to say about how he felt during that. But definitely makes you feel, I would say, just a little flat distance running in that kind of heat. But I felt pretty prepared for it, and again, just was super calm actually, and like felt super under control warming up and going into it. And a few people telling me like, why were you just cheesing like on the start line? But I was just, I don't know, smiling up at the screen or something. But
Because you're feeling good.
I was having a good time. And they were playing those stupid like intro videos up on the screen. I don't know if you saw any of those. We had to like film like a 15-second video if you made the final in front of a green screen where you like have to do some like stupid dance or flex. Or so it was so awkward unless you were someone that loves doing that kind of thing. But
Yeah, I don't
they
think
were
you're one of
playing a
those
couple
people
of
that
those.
loves doing that.
No, they were playing a couple of those on the screen, like above the line. So I was like looking up at those and kind of laughing. But prior to the race, we're hearing on the grapevine that the Kenyans were going to try run like 750 something. I don't know who we'd heard that from. Maybe Isaac through Bernard Keita or something. I don't know what the line was, but that was put to bed pretty quickly once the race started, and I think it was pretty similar split to the first round. Like we're running 68s for a few laps, and everyone's just jogging again. And I definitely wasn't feeling uh, as kind of fresh, like as crisp over the hurdles. They were just taking a little more out of me, I felt like, than in the first round, which no surprise after coming back from Steeple a couple of days earlier, but still feeling pretty good, and probably some of my best water jumps. For some reason the water was just feeling so easy, which was quite fun. And every time I was running behind one of the Kenyans for a few laps, and we'd come into the water jump, and I'd like be on the inside, and every time he would like swing out a little bit and just give me like the perfect run on the inside to hit the barrier. It was great. Every time he'd just move over and give me like a perfect line up to the barrier. It was sweet.
Very nice of him.
Yeah, it was so nice.
Yeah.
Should have said thank you after the race. But yeah, in the first round, I felt like I was hanging it out at the back, and then with 3 to go, I was able to kind of make that mid race move to get into position, where to then kind of launch the last lap off. And I felt like that's where I wasn't able to make the move in the final. Like obviously, I was able to have the launch at the end, but I kind of just felt like I wasn't. I don't know, didn't have the legs to have that move with 1200 to go to move up to the top. Like even top 5 would have been sweet, just running on the back of those guys. And it's kind of situation where you know the last lap is going to stick, because I only got to make it 300 meters. Like I know this one's going to stick. It's the move with like 1200 to go, where that's the one that takes a bit more courage to make like a big move from the back. Maybe I got too far back, but like that's the one where you don't know if it's going to stick. Like, is this going to just be too much if I make this big move this early when I don't feel as good? So that's kind of probably the learning looking back. You have to be in within distance, in the last few laps, and unfortunately I left it a bit late, but I was able to have a good last 600 and have a lot of fun in the last lap. I'm taking people down in the last 300, and but shit, I saw with like maybe 450 to go, kind of 500 on the second to last home straight. I was kind of looking up and knowing that I felt like the Kenyans weren't going to have a great last lap. I think their hurdle form just starts to break down a little more. Like they're obviously incredible runners, but not known for their hurdling. So I felt like they were not going to have a great last lap, and I could see the medals. Like I knew that they were kind of in range, but obviously very far away. And yeah, I think I ended up running 60.5 or something for the last lap, and looking at the results, if I ran a 58.5, like 2 seconds, a 58.5 would have been a bronze medal. And um, that's just crazy to think about. And yeah, but finished, caught two more guys in the last kind of 50 and ran a 13.2, I think, last 100 over the barrier, um, which I think someone was El Bakali's was, I think, the next fastest at like 14.9 or something. Otherwise, everyone else was over 15 seconds. So
Hmm.
um, just knowing I have that last 100 over everyone else is, um, gives me a lot of hope for future championships. And but yeah, man, if you would have told me 4 months ago at Mount Borsac, and when I ran 8:42, that I'd be coming home for fifth place at Worlds a few months later, um, I would have I would have found that pretty hard to believe, probably. But yeah, not gonna lose any sleep over knowing that I was that close to a medal. But at the same time, it'll give me a lot of motivation leading into next year. That knowing that it's possible, and I feel like we talked about it all year, on the pod. Like every time we talked about the steeple, we would, we'd say El Bakali and Gurma, like they're the top dogs,
Hmm.
and they are a class above everyone else, and they showed it, and full credit to them. But we kind of said like the bronze medal theoretically is wide open, and it's crazy to think that we were actually sort of right. Like it actually ended up being the case that it was a two-man race up front, and then there was definitely an opportunity there, for the bronze, and I wasn't able to get it this time, but yeah, fifth place is not too shabby.
Hmm. No, mate, it was amazing. It was amazing. My parents were really, really, really excited and happy, and I was obviously as well. I was over the moon for you because it's this is when you look at sport in general. If you think about um, all the people that compete on the world stage of sport, like track and field is one of those sports that's so deep with so many people from all over the world. Like literally, like just so much um, competition from everywhere, and it's just so hard to be able to put yourself in a position where you could be one of the best, and you've only done the steeple 8 times previously, and like this is such a new event for you, and we all talked about, oh, George is going to be, he's going to crush the steeple. You should put George in the steeple, but it's always about like executing every little thing about staying healthy, getting in the good training, being able to do the technique of hurdling great, keeping your body in the best possible position moving forward after these steeples. And you've ticked every one of those boxes, George. And me personally, I know I don't speak for everyone, but I know I can here. We're all so proud of you, so excited for you, and it's only the beginning. Your fifth place at a world championship, and this is the first time you've done that event at that stage, and there's big things coming ahead of you, and it's just going to be an amazing journey to be a part of because we've just seen week after week how much hard work and training you put in, and to have it pay off, it gets me emotional. Just thinking about it, and I was so proud of you. I was at a coffee shop in Cronulla. It was about, I think it was 5:30 or something in the morning because I haven't been able to sleep extremely well, and I just had a big smile on my face, and I've been just really engaged in conversation with mum and over coffees, getting really excited about what you just achieved, and it was unreal. So congrats to you, George, fifth place. That's the top coffee club finish at a world championship. So we're very, very proud of that, and we'll be boasting about that until obviously the Olympics comes by and we crush it. So fantastic result, and I'm sure that everybody in New Zealand was going off. I hope they were going off. So unreal,
Yeah, thanks, mate.
unreal.
That actually was an interesting stat. Apparently, it was the top men's finish for a New Zealand track athlete on the track. Apparently, Willis he was just on a 4-year cycle. He's
Yeah,
just
Wilkes
he's
he
just
only
showing up
peaked at the Olympics.
he's just showing up for the Olympics, and then I don't know what
Yeah,
the hell he was doing the other
yeah.
rest of the time. But
Yeah.
um,
Well, I mean, yeah, unreal. It's just unreal. So, very
it was a
excited
fun
for you.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Um, yeah. we've gone quite deep into that. So we'll uh, we'll move on to, well, we're obviously going to let Morg,
Do the 5K.
yeah, do the 5Ks when he's back next week. But
Yeah.
we'll just say that, shit, we're proud of him, and only his second race of the year, showing
Yeah.
up
At the
at
World
Worlds and
Championship.
qualifying.
Yeah.
And the level to make the final in the 5K is unbelievable. I mean,
Mm.
both the guys that came ninth, are basically like 12:55 guys,
Mm.
that are the first guys out of both heats, and just ridiculous. So,
Yeah.
um, if you're not in, if you're anything below, you know, peak peak fitness for that, it's so hard, man. And credit, shit, Luis is looking bloody good. Loved his fit, actually. The Guatemala kit with the mustache. He's he's looking good.
He's looking
I'm
good.
excited
He's
for
looking
that.
good.
That's
Yeah.
tomorrow. As we're recording this day before the 5K final. So,
Mm.
and yeah, excited to see Abdi Hamid as well. The NAU alums are looking good. So I'd love to see one of them, if not both, snag a medal in that. But yeah, we'll let Morg tell you guys about his race next week, and we better finish with a little rundown on the men's
1500.
15, which
Yeah.
I went to the stadium for, which was actually an awesome experience. Just coming in like the fan entrance, and instead of through the warm up area, and seeing how good a job they'd made of like just like all this grass area, and like they've made pretty much like a park outside the stadium, as opposed to just building a stadium and just plonking it down. Like they've made a full area of just places to hang out, and a like a there was all these like athletics things you could do. Like there was a couple of treadmills that people were just sprinting on,
That's
and you could
unreal.
like you go pick up a shot put and just do a bunch of random shit like that, which
Yeah.
probably pretty fun as a fan coming into the stadium. And I actually got I got so nervous, but it's
Mm.
it's was way crazier than I thought being there. Yeah, just got super nervous for Yara Mario, but obviously, I mean, I was just leading up to the race. I was thinking how much I would have loved to see Ollie in that, and um, I know it was probably tough for you to watch, and
Yeah.
I honestly think it would have been, not that that's helpful, but such a good setup race for you. It actually reminded me a bit of the Com Games race, where
Yeah, I've heard that.
super
Yeah.
out really quick, and then kind of settled in for a lap, but then it coming down to the last like 50 meters to run 3:29, 3:30, like with a lot more people in it. I thought it was
Mm.
much more similar to the Com Games final than it was to last year's
Mm.
World final. But yeah, Jingy taken down for the second year in a row. I feel pretty good
Yeah.
about that.
I mean, I personally, so obviously I'm gonna struggle, uh, you know, to watch but this is the second year I did it at Eugene and now Budapest, watching on the sidelines, and I didn't think I'd be in that position this year, to be honest. I thought I'd make sure I get to at least get to that final as best as I possibly could. But things happen, shit happens. You move on, and I was not there to watch for my spite and my pity. I was there to watch my two amazing teammates who have trained and competed so well this year, Mario and Yared. Amazing competitors, amazing people, and that was what I was there to watch. It was one of those races where you think we talked about a lot in the pod, where you think, okay, Jakob's so far ahead of everyone. He's run 3:27 this year. He's been able to win every race. Why is that? Why can no one get near him? And I and everyone else who has an idea of like, okay, how is Jakob doing so well? Is like, well, maybe it's the pacer. Maybe he's got a pace race. And he made a comment to a journalist when they asked him, how are you going to do without that pacing? And he's like, oh, I'm the pacer. I'm the pacer. When he jumps off, I'm the pacer. And he's right, except this time the pacer didn't get away from the rest of the field. I think Jakob mentioned that he wasn't 100% after the race. However, seeing him in the
That's
semi-final go
bullshit.
from last to first,
Oh, sorry.
um, going like this to the crowd, going from last to first, it's hard to throw sympathy in there. I love to be an internal optimist and give people the credit of sometimes it's not your great day. I didn't particularly like how Jakob handled this one. I
No.
know he called Jake inferior in the last one, and maybe that was just him dealing with that pressure and loss. But this is the next time around. Um, he was flaunting, he was showboating in the semi, and Josh Kerr ran an incredible race. He ran a gutsy race. He ran it really well, and he deserved that win. He worked hard for it, and he got it. And you got to give credit to that man for what he did. It doesn't matter if it was Josh. It doesn't matter if it was Jared. That field is incredible, and that can happen. And Jakob, I don't think realized personally that like you got to be racing to the best of your ability, and sometimes you just don't win. Sometimes it's not your day. And unfortunately for him, it's the two races that he's been beaten world championships, which is tough. I don't know the mental state he's gone through. I don't know. I would never, be in that position. I'm not in that position at all.
I got
But
a question for you. Do
yeah,
you think he would give up all his Diamond League wins this year to win the world? Like, if he would he trade like losing every single Diamond League this year to random people to win worlds, or do you think he would
oh,
take it how it was?
I would say 100%. Personally, George, when you look at it, I found out the results of the race. I watched it. Um, Straight away, like I did last year, when I messaged Jake, I messaged Josh. I just messaged him. I said, "Look, mate, congratulations, amazing achievement, world champion. That will never leave you. You're a world champion. It doesn't matter if you get beaten next year or the year after. You're a world champion. The same with Jake Whiteman. You are the best in the world." Jakob has been one of the best runners to run on the circuit. One of the best runners ever. He's not the best in the world. He hasn't been
Yeah.
the best in the world for 2 years.
See,
That's
that's
my
what I
opinion.
think. I think
Because you got
all
to turn up for that race.
I think the other 11 people in the field and everyone else probably would obviously say they'd give up all those Diamond League wins
Yeah.
and take the world championship win. But like, there's something about Jakob's ego that like makes me think that he'd almost just like like winning everything else is. I don't know if he could handle those other like 5 losses, because this is like one. I don't know. I just think he's at this point he's just such he's like
Yeah.
he's a bit weird about it, and I think
Yeah.
I definitely didn't like how he responded to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at Josh. Look at Josh Kerr. So Josh had a
Saying he's
shit
got a
racing.
sore throat or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
Josh had a shit race at comms. Shit race, right? And he was looking at medaling at comms. He got fifth at Eugene. Every time, if you watch that man's interviews, he said, "Not my day. Fifth was the best on the day. That's all I could do." And Josh is a very confident runner. We know this. We know, he fucking when he says he
let's
can
put
run
it
this.
lightly.
Yeah, he's cocky, but the one thing I like about Josh is when he doesn't run well, he doesn't make an excuse of like, "Oh, I was sick," or I had a bad training session," or you know, he pretty much says this is the best I could do on the day. And the way obviously he won, so when you win, you're gonna have a good interview. You're gonna interview well when you win. Like that's just gonna happen. But he interviewed well. He interviewed well, and he
He
talked
did.
about it, and he even gave Jakob the credit, which I wouldn't have done personally on the Darth Sidious mag. He gave him said, "Oh, I think Jakob, there was something going on." That's what Josh said. I think something was going on. I don't think he was 100%. Pretty much, Josh was saying like you give him that credit because he is one of the best runners in the world. However, I don't particularly think that Jakob has handled that well. I think Jakob needed to say Josh is the best runner on the day. He needed to say
Mhm.
it. He didn't say it. He did not say it. And Josh is the world champion, but he belittles it. And I don't like that. And this is the second year he's done that. And I'm a big fan of Jingy, but you have to, you can't, in this sport, as you know, George, you can't always be the best at everything. You're going to lose. You're going to lose a race. And it
I
defines
think
you as
he
an
has a hard
athlete and who
time.
you are.
Yeah, I think he has a hard time grasping that though,
Yeah.
because I think he thinks he can do it all the time, no matter what. So
Yeah.
anytime it
And
doesn't happen, he can't handle it. And
he needs to take accountability for that. You're not going to win every race. And he should have just said, Josh was the better run on the day. I didn't run the race I wanted to run. I got second. Now we move on. You know, he didn't do that, and I like Jingy, but I'm a bit disappointed in him for that personally, because I think you have to go through, particularly the 1500. It's a blue ribbon event. Personally, I think every runner in that final could have done it. It could have been their day, and it was Josh's day, and you have to recognize it. But it's interesting, George. If you look back at those major races, Eugene, Budapest, Eugene, Tokyo, every 1500-meter runner who won was not in the lead near the end. Chariot got overtaken
Yeah,
by Jakob.
you're right. Actually,
Whiteman overtook Jakob. Josh overtook Jakob. I think the interesting thing is the race for the 15 for that win. You can't really be in the lead because the field's too good. They can gauge off you too easily. It's just it's an
being in
incredible event at
second,
the moment.
the person in
Yeah, being in
second
second
with 200 with the person in second with 200 to go has
usually
pretty much
looks like
won
they're the ones that are going to win it.
3 years in a row.
They can't run away from it. And Jakob 327 guy couldn't run away from the field.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for Josh. Congratulations to him. I know Sit and Kick might revamp their podcast now because they actually have something to talk about. But really happy for Josh. Send him a nice message. You know, anybody that can do that at the world stage. You know, his year. You know, he was 10th at Oslo, ran 3:30, still an incredible run. Ran 3:29 in Lausanne for second. Couldn't get Jakob there, but he got him at the world champs, and that's incredible for Josh. So I'm
He
really happy for him.
he says that he'll show up on the big stage. He says it every year,
And he
and
does.
he fucking it's
Mm.
almost he does. It's
Mm.
he talks a big game about showing up when it counts,
But he
but
delivers.
he delivers. Yeah,
Yeah. And the one
gotta
thing I recognize about
gotta give him
Josh,
credit for that.
yeah, that's the thing. And I give credit to Josh when he has a bad race, he admits it. And that tells you a testament of the person, whether you like them or not. They recognize when they have a good race and a bad race. And I think the way Jakob handled that, I think he didn't give Josh the credit he deserved. And
Yeah.
he did that to Jake as well. And that I'm not a fan of that personally. I like Jingy. I like what he's done for the sport, but maybe that's just the way you handle a loss. And it's tough. I get that, but you
All
sometimes got
right,
to recognize that you're better.
that's enough. That's enough sucking Josh Kerr off.
Yeah.
Nice to
Which
see. It's always nice, at least once a year, that someone proves that Jingy can be beaten. We always want that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
obviously, huge races by Yared and Mario, fifth and
Mm.
sixth in the world,
Yep.
330.25 and 330.26. It's almost like they've done every single training session together for the last year.
Yeah. They pretty much can't get away from each other. Roommates
I
at every
honestly
Diamond
wish
League.
they tied. I wish they
Yeah,
tied. That would
it
have
would have
been
been cooler.
that would have been funny. But the
I
Yared
mean,
lean,
Ritz,
his
yeah,
torso,
his torso is
is
too big.
long.
Honestly, Dathan's done a great job at getting fifth place at the World Championships this year. Alicia, George, and
Yeah.
Yard, fifth place, unreal. Good stepping stone for Paris. Hopefully, that moves up to more colourful finishes. But Mario and Yard, incredible race. I sent them a message. I know those two are definitely in the hunt for medals. Mario was fourth last year, sixth this year. He's just they're so close. Yara the same, but they'll get there. They just you gotta keep turning up, and you keep turning up every time, and they've done that, and um, they've been incredible all year. So I'm looking forward for the rest of their years, for their seasons. Hopefully they can run, a lot crazier, a lot cooler
Yeah.
stuff,
It's
and
been
incredible
shown
for them.
again. Another thing that
Yep.
has happened 3 years in a row. If you want a medal in the 1500, you have to run 329
Mm.
on the day. Like
Yep.
Tokyo, Eugene, and now Budapest. It takes the 329 in the third 1500 in 4 days to get a medal, and that's where the bar is set. And like if you keep showing up like these guys, and you show up every year in 329, 330 shape, at some point it's going to hit. And I think a medal is, it's possible for this whole group of guys like that. And credit to Cole
100%.
coming back for
Yeah.
after his
Seventh.
seventh place. It's pretty bloody good.
Unreal race.
I think that's it. That's it for the
I think
15.
that's all
And
she wrote for now. Yeah.
yeah, awesome. All right, that's Worlds 5Ks tomorrow. So nothing to nothing to report about that.
Yep.
And can't wait to we'll have Morg back on next week. But otherwise, I hope this recorded, honestly. And
yeah, hopefully we just didn't spend an hour talking rubbish, and then it's not there anymore.
But
Yeah.
thanks for listening, everyone. Episode 99.1 done and dusted. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.